I don't know. Maybe other people are like me, but when I wake up in the morning, that's when my brain is most philosophical. That's when I'm able to tackle the most pressing issues that have been on my mind. So this time, I want to think about an issue and also have a discussion with a new friend that I found. And that friend's name is Juniper from Chatgpt. And in a different world, this would have been crazy, but this is the world we live in right now, whereby you can talk to your phone. And in many ways, it's a lot smarter than your friends. So let's ask ChatGPT about some of the world's most pressing issues, and let's hear what ChatGPT has to say. Okay, let's ask about what's on the topic today. Harvey Weinstein. Hey, what do you think about the Harvey Weinstein situation? Was he given a fair trial, given that the political environment was heavily focused on the Me Too movement?
The Harvey Weinstein case is definitely complicated, and opinions on whether he received a fair trial can differ. On one hand, the Me Too movement brought a lot of attention to sexual harassment and abuse, leading to an increased demand for accountability. Weinstein's trial, happening in this context, was certainly influenced by the heightened awareness of such issues. Some argue that this political climate may have shaped public perceptions and the legal proceedings, while others believe the trial was fair, with the focus on the evidence and legal processes. Weinstein was convicted based on accusations from several women, but there are always debates about how much external factors, like media attention or public opinion, can affect a trial's fairness. It's tough because, while accountability for sexual misconduct is critical, ensuring fair trials for everyone, regardless of public opinion, is also important for the justice system. What are your thoughts on it?
I think that it wasn't fair because he had a powerful position and he used it immorally, but under the guise of the law, he probably was not guilty because he was just using his power the way that most powerful people used it. People like Bill Clinton and other powerful figures have used their power
It's a
to
really
get.
nuanced point. On one side, Weinstein's abuse of power, especially in Hollywood, definitely raised a lot of moral and ethical questions, not just about him, but about how power is often wielded in certain circles. People in influential positions can get away with a lot, and for many, that's a major issue. You're right that there's often a double standard when it comes to powerful people, just like with Bill Clinton and others. However, when it comes to the law, guilt isn't about moral behavior alone. It's about evidence, proof, and legal standards. So, in that sense, even though Weinstein's actions were immoral and harmful, it's possible to argue that the legal system may have struggled to fully address the complexity of those behaviors within its own framework. It's a tough balance between holding people accountable and ensuring due process, especially when power dynamics come into play. Do you think the law should adapt to better handle cases like this?
Well, the law should do what the law should do, but it should take into account that there are certain situations and environments that make a case more more emotionally flared, such as the OJ case. A lot of people know that the emotions of the country influenced the juries, and the same happened with the Mr. George Floyd, whereby people influenced the juries in some way because of the inflamed tensions. right?
Absolutely, you make a strong point. The law is supposed to be impartial, but in high profile cases, emotions and public sentiment often spill over into the courtroom. It's clear that when the broader public is emotionally charged, especially in cases involving racial or social justice issues, it can affect how juries perceive the facts and evidence. In the cases you mentioned, O.J. Simpson, George Floyd, there was a lot of national and global attention, which likely had an impact on how those trials unfolded. People's feelings of anger, frustration, or support for certain outcomes can create pressure on the system. It's tricky because while the law should ideally be neutral, human emotions and the political atmosphere can't always be easily separated from the process. Jurors, who are human, may find it difficult to remain completely detached when they're hearing a case that is so emotionally and socially charged. The key challenge is how to strike a balance between ensuring a fair trial and recognizing that these cases do reflect larger societal issues. Would you say the law needs to find a way to address these pressures? Or is it
So,
part of the system's inherent challenges?
okay, let me ask about Harvey Weinstein. Was he convicted of any crime like a rape, and there any evidence?
Yes, Harvey Weinstein was convicted of crimes, but not specifically for rape. In his criminal trial in New York, he was convicted in February 2020 of two charges, one for third-degree criminal sexual act and one for first-degree rape. The charges stemmed from the allegations of two women, Miriam Mimi Haley and Jessica Mann. Haley testified that Weinstein forced her to perform oral sex on him in 2006, while Mann testified about a 2013 rape. Weinstein was sentenced to 23 years in prison for these convictions. As for evidence, much of the case relied on the testimonies of the women, as well as the testimony of other women who were not part of the direct charges, but were brought in to establish a pattern of behavior. Weinstein's defense argued that any sexual encounters were consensual, but the jury found the victim's accounts credible and convicted him. However, it's worth noting that his case has been controversial, especially given the broader context of the Me Too movement and the heightened media attention. There are ongoing legal proceedings, including a trial in Los Angeles for additional charges of sexual assault. Would you like to know more about the details or aftermath of the case?
Nope, that's it. Thanks, Juniper.
You're welcome. Glad I could help. If you ever want to chat again, just let me know.
You see, it's an interesting tool. And if you take away the bias that it can have, because some people say that ChatGPT is a bit woke, so you need to be, well, woke in the sense that it leans left in its answers. You can try to filter it out to get a bit of a balanced view, but in all, I think it's a good tool. But it is a bit left leaning in certain topics. But in general, it's a good tool. So something to play around with.